Righto, before you see a pin and a ruler and brown paper. This must only mean one thing. I am going to do a little bit of playing around with self-drafting another pattern. It is 14:09 PM in the Arvo, and yeah, this is the first time I kind of have got back to sort of actual working, because all day yesterday I had an almost migraine. I just had a really disgusting nasty head, and it started during the night. So yeah, how lucky am I? Go me. Anyhow, yep, going to start self-drafting a pattern. Okay, so far a very skeletal basic back little block there, and I always fold, although I draw out a half, they then get folded and then cut as one piece, because as much as cutting on the fold is okay, and yeah, you know, I've done it for a whole bunch of years, but for the most part, if I want to spend a lot more time perfecting patterns and make it more kind of professional and have a better finish, especially if you are spending a little bit more on fabrics and or patterns, and to obviously equal the garment in the finished processes of everything, you kind of want to make sure that your pattern and everything laid on the fabric accurately, so there's no shifting. And somebody's interrupting me. Cinnamon, I'm doing my best to have a conversation with the few viewers that are watching. Righto, the short is, when I cut this pattern out, I'll cut it as one piece, not half. So when it lays on fabric, it will lay correctly, and obviously along with the grain and everything like that. Yada yada yada. There we go. One very basic back bodice cut out, and I'm going to do a whole bunch of work to this, because I would like to kind of incorporate some little bit of different design style lines, things like that. And yeah, this is way before it goes to its first mock-up, and just play around with that. And obviously I always, for the most part, cut my darts even out, because then obviously I can change up them. And obviously when they're cut out like that, when you have a pen or pencil, it's so much easier to transfer lines instead of kind of folding and put a pin through. And yes, there's various ways that people do their own thing. It's just kind of, this is how I do things in my drafting process. Righto, so the two front pieces have been cut out, and as you previously saw, the back piece there, so they are in their very skeletal structure at the moment, and going to obviously add all the tweaks and balance marks and everything like that. So there's a whole host of things to do, but right now I am just going to concentrate on a very basic fabric mock-up, and then obviously finagle things there, make alterations, markings and everything like that. And also with fabric, because it's so much more malleable than this here brown paper, then obviously it is more manageable to kind of around curves and things like that. And then obviously anything that I change on the fabric mock-up, I then obviously put everything on the brown paper, and then usually go to mock-up number 2, 3 in the year, depends on how many mock-ups I need. But for the most part, all the balance marks, markings, everything like that, I do tend to sort of keep everything on the fabric, because it's kind of something that's a little bit easier for my brain and how it works. Easier, especially or doing the fitting and everything like that. Righto, so I got the mock-up fabric, it's just 100% cotton, and going to give it a really good press, because although it is the mock-up, if you do not press the mock-up fabric, then obviously fitting process will not be as accurate as you would want it to be. Well, as you saw from the still, the muck-up, which is phase 1, and you're going to make a couple of tweaks. I do not usually stitch the shoulders, so I always usually just pin, which you can see there. I just need to shave a little tiny bit off both the shoulders. I'm going to make the neck a more round, because initially I kind of thought of a sort of square corner, and it was kind of either that option or more of a round. I am going to go for more of a round neckline, and fitting overall is okay. I'm just going to make a little tweak to the side seam and just add a little bit of length on. That's pretty much it really. So yeah, I'm going to make the tweaks primarily on the fabric muck-up, because obviously that's just so much easier, especially around the arm side, to do those adaptations. Obviously around the neckline, just take the scissors, and just here I can just stitch on, or just make the amendment on the paper pattern just to add little teeny tiny bit of length. I also, because this is not going to finish in the middle as is like that, it is actually going to cross over. So I need to make a few adjustments, because although you see the middle there, it's not going to finish with the opening like that, because if I bring that over, that will then cross over like that. So I need to make all the additional adjustments and tweaks for that, because then the buttons and everything will go down the front. Although I have put darts here, I may make another paper pattern and one mock-up for the new paper pattern, because I may also decide to make princess seams as well. It's just a couple of ideas of the drawings that I have. One is for just the darts and the other are for princess seams. I'll make both the mock-ups, obviously wear them and decide which I will go for, because although this is a bodice, this is not going to be as you see it as is. This is just kind of a few practice runs for something that I have designed, and no, it's not going to be a regular top. Righto, so on the paper pattern for the back bodice, I have been playing around with a little bit of shaping, as you can see there. I may make that a little bit more deeper than what you can see. I also may play around with the darts, hence that is the darts. They're just folded, they're not connected or anything, as you can see there, and I just pinned for now just these little style piece there. And yeah, because when I make things I do my best to omit a back seam. I know sometimes there's patterns where you just absolutely have to have a back seam, especially with shaping and everything like that, and because I kind of want a fitted look with this garment that I'm creating, I'm not going to rule out a back seam. However, I may not have one single seam. I may play around with different little style lines. Also sometimes, you know, when you see on large circle skirts, or even sometimes regular A-line skirts, you have that front seam, and whether they're just kind of standalone skirts or even incorporated in dresses, for me, I will do my best to omit a front seam on a skirt or a dress and things like that. Obviously have the placket, that's different, I'm not talking about things like that, but just a regular skirt dress that just has a front seam and it does nothing. Yeah, especially when you have those ones where you have a seam on a skirt, and if it's part of a dress and then there's like no seam on the kind of body's front, and it kind of just breaks it up. It just seems really strange. But anyhow, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you like a seam on the front of your skirt, or perhaps not?
Boop.